Hey, Peter and James. If you don't expect much out of this live stream, you won't be disappointed on any level. Just saying. Just finished dinner. Curry and rice. Very good. Excellent beef curry, actually. Excellent. At home cooked. It's cold out there. My phone's about dead, so this is where I am. At this point, everything's working, but I'm in the kitchen, which is a bit of a pain. But it is warm here. Now, Aldi shopping. Don't know if we have Aldi in other parts of the world. We have Aldi in Australia. In New South Wales and Aldi, we have this. Excuse me. Now, these things, basically everything comes in a tray like this. You buy it. It's enough for 2 meals. Hey, James, and hey, Peter, and whoever else is there. But anyway, here's the deal. Basically, you get one of them. And it's got instructions on the back. It's got everything in here. It's got potatoes. It's got marinated beef. It's got a curry paste. It's got coconut cream. It's got rice. Everything all ready to go. Took me, it says 15 minutes. Pretty sleek 15 minutes. You end up with something that looks pretty much like that there on the cover. Very good. They have a whole range of them, mostly foreign food, but that's all anyone eats now anyway. So it's pretty good Indian curry, not crazy strong, but really good flavour. Yeah, anyway, that's what I think you should be doing. Excellent value for money. 15 minutes, enough for 2 people, or enough for 2 meals anyway. So that's cool. Rest in the fridge. Now, I don't know what's happening here. I've got sort of the remains of a sorry. I've got sort of the remains of a migraine, which is a bit shit, if you excuse the French. I had an early night last night. I probably should have an early night tonight. But here we are. No one's actually saying anything, so I'm guessing you hear me reasonably well. Don't know. Someone shout. Anyway, that is minimum washing up. It's 1 pan on the curry thing. 1 pan, everything's ready, and a dish in the microwave, which you could probably also use to serve it. It's really pretty low maintenance sort of food that you actually home cook, and it's really good quality usually. So whatever you can find, about $15, but 2 meals for $15 ain't bad value. Anyway, I've got a couple of jobs I really wanted to do tonight. I'm probably not going to get either of them done. There we go. See how we go. One is a model locomotive with some problems. I bought this secondhand, and it's got a noisy gear, like bad noise in it. It's 40 years old or something like that. it's a few years old. It was a club special or model special from Markland in 1980, something like that. I think in 1980. Geez Louise. There's a picture of it in this book. If I find it. Don't know where. Just gotta find it. There we go. (1982) was the 10-year anniversary of Z Gauge. But that's it in the box. You can't see that, but we'll show you in a minute. It says highlight 10-year mini club. One silver rail Zeppelin in unique packaging. The technical model with a working propeller. There we go. My German is about as rusty as it could possibly be at this point. I'm picking it up because this book is actually German language. I could translate that and see how far I actually am out on it. We have the technology. If this doesn't die in the meantime, because I think my phone's about dead, and I think this week I'm going to have to buy a new one. Model highlight for the 10 Mini Club birthday, a silver-plated rail Zeppelin in fancy packaging. The technical special feature of the model, a rotating propeller. There we go. I'm not far out, actually. There we go. I'm a little bit impressed with that. But I am picking up my German again slowly. I can read most of this book, but sometimes I've got to double check. Anyway, 1982. I have the box and everything, except I left the box up in the shed. One thing people probably don't really know about me is that I am a Markland fan. Stefan posted a video today. That's very true. A good video too, I imagine. I haven't watched it yet, but I've taken this apart. We've got bits. But here we go. It looks like this, and it's got a propeller on the back. Basically, this is the rail Zeppelin, which was a thing in 1930s Germany. Don't know if it really took off. But the problem with it is when I pull it apart, and I didn't pay a lot for it, so that's kind of good. But I really have been looking for one of these, and there is a new one out which I would have paid a lot for, like a crazy amount for. But this is an older model. This gear here drives off the motor. I don't know if you can see that. If you look at this motor, can we see that? I don't know. Anyway, probably not. In here where my fingers are, there's a gear. There, see that? Can you see that gear there? Probably not. in there. We'll point with that. There's a gear. There's another gear on here. We'll turn this around so you can actually see it. This actually should drive that gear, and that drives the propeller. Now, as you can see, this stuff's pretty tiny. It really is. And there's a nice brass gear driving a steel shaft, which goes basically through here and attaches to the propeller through this hole in the back. There's a shaft sticks out this end. I'll take my glasses off so I can actually see this. Right. Now, the problem is, and I don't know how we zoom in on this. Can we zoom in? Probably not. Let's have a look here. Don't know what that's doing. Anyway, all this is a little C-section clip here that holds this in place in a little groove in the shaft. My nails are dirty, and center stage is probably going to make everyone sick, but it does sort of work. Yeah, it's going to annoy everyone. But if I move this in front of my face, it probably zooms in. This was an actual real thing, Peter. It was an actual thing in Germany. Anyway, those two little clips that hold this in place to stop it swinging sideways is broken off. The plastic's broken off. I've got one of them come out of the body and the other one's missing. So we need to make something that sits in there nicely. I'll turn that off because that's making everyone sick. Wibbly wobbly idiot division. G'day. Wibbly wobbly idiot vision. Sorry. Hey. Anyway, because this, when you move side to side, you see, when the motor starts, it just skips gears, skips teeth because it's loose in there, see? Not good. All it needs is a fork to hold it in place to stop it going sideways, and then the motor will hold it in place, and the weight of it probably works quite well. I don't think it ever had a proper enclosed bearing. So it's tiny, but I think we can probably 3D model something. Another thing we could do probably is cut it out of a piece of brass sheet and epoxy it in place, but I don't know how good that's going to be. Sort of feel if we CAD'd something up out of plastic and 3D printed it, then we could probably put a dab of super glue on it and it would be plenty good enough because it's only pretty tiny, see? I didn't bring the top of the box. I've only got the bottom of the box. The top of the box is actually there. There's the propeller that goes on the end. Very cool. And the propeller spins, but it's noisy at the moment. So we could have a look at that. That shouldn't take long to do. And then after that, we might have a bit of look at what Stuart wanted, and that's a tube expander for a steam engine. Anyway, I have done a stupid thing here, and I'm not completely impressed with it. I don't know how to fix it. What I've done is change my tabs. So that they don't go across the top of a page, they go down the side. Absolutely no idea how to fix that. Anyway, we're going to persevere with it. I'll add it in a scene, so you get the screen of death here in a minute, probably. This is all changed, of course, because that's how we work. Okay, this you've been added into Onshape in a completely random place, and don't expect anyone to have any clue what that actually is. What I don't have is any idea where that actual there it is. Found it. Hey, John. Now, yeah, this was a great we drew up for that miniature traction engine in the shed. Probably won't go any further than that, but we did draw it up just for an exercise to see how much it was going to cost to make one, and I think we're going to actually make it up from flat bar instead. That was an untitled document, so we might just start with that. I don't think this is going any further. If we delete that, we've got an untitled document still. So if we create a part studio for that, I did bring a Vernio with me, which is excellent. A little bit organised when I come down. And here's this shaft. Now, oh, look at this. We can do this. This is a new feature. We've never seen this one before. Righto. So there's a groove in the end of this, if you can see that. I go. What the groove is probably too small to fit my verniers in. This pair anyway. Going to need some better measuring equipment than that. It's German, so I think we can nearly guess that the bearing on this end and the bearing on this end would be the same size. That'd be a reasonable sort of an assumption, probably, because the shaft on each side is different, is the same. Just measuring that. And German's being German, I think that's what you will find. So if we measure this one here, we're going to go that's 1.5 millimeters. The width of the groove, which is a really good question. I should have bought a decent pair of verniers instead of these old Minimax ones that are 100 years old. When I look at them, even the ends aren't even exactly the same width. So that was a bit poor. It's a bit more guesswork, but I'm guessing that that is probably 0.8 of a millimeter, something like that, 0.8 of a millimeter wide, that groove. A fraction more than that, but 0.8 will do us, I think. 1.5. Take care, John. Good to see you. Got to get up late tomorrow. That's fair enough. So let's start with that. We'll go back here and we'll go to the front plane and we'll draw a circle on here. We'll just check our documents. Document our workspace units. Make sure they are in millimeters, and they are, so that's good. We're never quite sure with this where I've been last time. So 1.5 millimeters. Actual shaft diameter is 1.8. I'll tell you what I'm going to do, because these glasses are annoying me. I've even brought my close-up glasses. Look at this. You can't tell the difference with me having these on sitting here, but if I get up and do stuff, you'll be able to tell. There we go. Try that. That's better. Now, we'll draw another circle. 1.8. And we'll extrude that. We'll call it 25 mil. That'll do. And we'll extrude the inner one. That's not it. Zoom it out so we can actually see it. Let's try changing this. And probably off that same sketch, we can extrude the other piece, which is only, what, 0.4 of a millimeter, 0.5 of a millimeter thick. And we'll put a starting offset on that. At 0.8. Let me see what we've done there. No, probably not. There we go. That's what we're looking to do. So that's what the shaft looks like, and then it's got a piece sticking out for the gear. I won't bother drawing all that, but I'd say the shaft for the gear is probably 0.9 of a millimeter. If we put another sketch on this face here, .9, and extrude that one out. We'll call it 5 millimeters. That's sort of what it looks like. Right, blown up. Got a little gear on the end of it. But what we need is a fork to go in there. So who put another sketch? On the front plane like that. And a center point arc off there, which will give us a radius. That's not helpful. Let's do this. A section view with the section plane, pick the front plane. There we go. Gosh, it's tiny. If we blow this up, then we've got an actual section of the groove pretty well. And then we can use that in our sketch. If we turn off our section view, and hide this part, we've got the actual groove. So let's what I think we want is a piece of stuff about 3 millimeters across and probably 5 millimeters deep, and with a groove, I think, from here up there like that. Mirror that one with a mirror line and trim that. Extrude that 0.7 millimeter thick. Turn that back on to make sure it lines up. It probably doesn't. We probably flipped it the wrong way. Let's go that way. Now, I think that's sort of what it should have, and that's what it had originally. I don't think it needs to be this high. We edit the sketch. Probably put a line across. A line across here like this. Now, I can't see what you're actually saying there, but I'm going to have a look in a minute. Anyway, I think that's what we need, is one of them. And if we had that with a little offset on here so that we've got a congruent where don't know, probably cut the other one out and just glue that one in where it should go. I don't know. Or do we leave that piece in place, which is actually pretty much what's left is only the bottom half, and we put a offset on it. I don't know about that. Anyway. Good luck with the wasps, eh? Anyway, so that's sort of what it needs, I think. I don't know. Looking at it. Don't know. Maybe it needs to come down beside that. So instead of having this hole that actually fits over that in the slot, we leave the piece that's still there that it sits on for the correct depth and make another piece. So if we change this, we can just change the sketch. Change this sketch. .045. .45 actually, like that. I'm not sure how talkative I am about this, but anyway. Because we've got those dots there, it's a bit of a problem. So what we need to do is extend this line across to there. It changes our geometry quite significantly. We can just delete those 2 points and we've got that. And then we can put a fillet on there and there. They come out blue, which is what they need to do. If we work with that, that should fit just nicely beside it. And that looks like it's about, I'm going to go 0.8 of a millimeter. We need to make a sketch on the back of this. We'll blow this right up like this. And a corner rectangle we'll go with. We'll start there. We'll come up to there like that. 1.6, something like that. And we'll extrude that out. How far? Let's go 1 millimeter. So that's what we got. If we printed that laying down like that and put a little dot of super glue on that face there and slid it in after we'd put the axle in and lined it up nicely, I think that should fix a lot of problems. So we might do that. Anyway, that's one job. Maybe. What I'm going to do, if we have a look at this, actually just use the same pickups on the front as the back. So there's pickups on 4 wheels on this. We've got a brush and an armature on this end. And we've got some sort of a diode probably to stop any bouncy running. And the motor's screwed in with 2 screws there, one each side. There's a worm drive and another gear in here. So it's 2 to 1 or something behind the axle, because you have a look at that, the worm there, if we see the worm, if we look there, Excuse my dirty fingernails. There's a worm in the front there above my finger. It doesn't line up with the center of the wheel. So that must be geared down there. So the propeller drives off the back of that motor. See, off this end here. It's got a light on the front. Oh gosh. A globe on the front there, if we see that. And that works in a prism. It gives us headlights. There's no tail lights in this one. So it's quite a simple thing. All I'm saying is that the new one, if you want the brand new one that's in the catalogue this year, it'd want to be very, very good for the price that they're actually charging for it. I believe this to be actually die cast. It's very, very thin, but it is die cast. It's got to be a fun thing to put back in. But it's gone. So those two little pickups there, they hold the globe in place. And there's a weight in the front there, which actually has a little piece sticking down. I don't know if you can see that in the middle of the weight. And that holds it from falling out. I'm not sure I'm going to put this back together till I fix it in less times, but these pickups stop the vibration too, so they've got to slip back inside the case. On the back. Hasn't actually slipped up in there yet, but give you some idea. Very cool machine. I'm going to put that back in there upside down and that in there too, and we're going to print a piece and glue it up, and maybe tomorrow night I'll put it together. Anyway, one job. Now, that's the technical job. Now, I can do this too, apparently. No, I can't. Nope, that doesn't work. Anyway. Fashionable. What I have here is a disassembled tube expander. It's got 3 rollers in it. It's fairly straight edge. It's fairly straight. Really fairly straightforward thing. I was going to try and take it apart, but I have got it apart. Probably be enough to make one. Hey, Mark. So anyway, let's have a bit more of a look here. We'll come back here. We're going to make it, put this straight in here so we can all find it. A new part studio. And there's a few bits. There's 3 rollers. Hey, was it? Well done, Mark. You've done better than me. We've got a collar. We should have a roll pin in it to line up with this groove, but the roll pin's missing, I've discovered. So it's probably just as well I worked that out before we tried to use it. All right. It's got 3 little springs in it to hold it all parallel. That's how that works. And it's got some interesting geometry in here, so I don't know how it's made. It all seems to be one piece. Maybe. Seems to have 3 holes cut in it that seem to be fairly critical. And a parallel hole through the front, through the back, and right through. So the hole's the same size, I think, on that side as that side. So this hole goes all the way through parallel. And then there's 3 little wire springs in there. I don't know if you can see that. You probably can't. There's a pretty good chance you can't see that. 3 little wire springs that hold it in, and that's the secret to what keeps them parallel. They're definitely springs, and they're definitely wire, but they seem to just go, they seem to have been drilled. Honestly, don't know how this comes apart. It must come apart. Maybe it's all one piece because it has got a bit of a skew on there, and I don't know if that's original or not. It could be just overuse. If you're making one, I don't know how you would drill and put those 3 little springs that hold everything together in there. I really don't know how you would do that. Anyway, let's draw it up and see. Where do we start? Probably with the body. At the beginning, maybe. One inch 640. Inch and 5/16. Inch and 5/8. Inch and a quarter. The hole through the middle is 715 thou. Both ends, like we said. So let's draw this up and see what we end up with. For those who come in late, all we've done is messed around and made a part from a broken Markland locomotive. Try and get that fixed and demonstrate it next week. Looking at this, we're going to upgrade this or change this. Drop this down here to where it says workspace units. We're going to change this to inches because we can. And tick the green box. Now when we start a sketch on the front plane there, we can draw a circle and it comes out inches rather than millimeters. So first circle, 715.715, which is a hole through the middle. Then the outside here is 0.6, depending where you measure it, 0.650, 1.650, 1.620. 1.650, 1.660. And that must have a taper on it. 1.6. 4, 5. It's got a taper on it. It's only 15 thou, and maybe it's just wear. We're going to worry about the taper? Probably not. Let's make it the full diameter. 1.6. Six, 5. There we go. Probably the first thing we do is extrude that along, and it's got to be what, how long? 2 and 5/16. 2.3125. There we go. Now, let's put a sketch back on this plane at the back of it. We'll call that inch and a quarter. 1.25. And we'll use this project or use button here to collect that. So now we've got the two sketches. We can extrude that, change the direction so it looks like that. And we'll make that, how long is it? What did I say? going to call that engine 5.8. 1.625, something like that. We've got the main body drawn up. And put a fillet on there, which is, let's call that 1/8 because that's looks about right. And that's the start of the first piece. You know we haven't brought the pin down, don't you? We're aware of that anyway. If we start another part studio here, and we draw up this part, which is the spacer off the tubes. Not a particularly complicated thing. Where do we start with this? We start with a circle that's 2 inches diameter and another circle that's call that 3 1/8 inches diameter. It's actually 3 3/32, so it's a bit less than 1/8. And another circle that's 2 inches diameter. And this on the end, across the end here is inch and 5/32 because someone was really being helpful there. So we need to draw a line across up here like this is probably the easy way to do this. And then another line here, which will make a construction line from the center up here. And then we can just measure the distance across those lines. With a dimension on there, tap on that. That gives us actual dimension, which is 1.5375, which is a stupid fraction, but there we go. And we probably should mirror that one. Use that as a mirror line, mirror that one. And we need to extend this one down to here. And this one down to here. And then trim this piece. Trim on this, so we've got that circle there and that circle there and this circle here. So what we need to do is go from there and attach this one here where, see when we move that, this one is attached to the point, but if we move this back here, we get a tangent there, see? So that's what we want. Press escape there. And the easiest way is just to use that as a mirror line and mirror that one. Use that as a mirror line and mirror that one and that one. And then trim that out of there. And we've got the actual shape. If we have a hole in the middle, which is the same 1.25 inches, 1.25, and we extrude that shape 1.125 inch 8. Stupid fractions. We've got basically the start. There's a boss on this end which is 1.8 inches. Don't know why. There. 1.8. And the project or the use button, we click that too, then we can extrude that. And how long does that stick out? Nothing on this is a standard fraction, really. We're just making them up as we go along. Maybe it is metric. 0.2 an inch. That's how that looks. It's got a nice flange on it, so a nice fillet on there. So we might just guess that, something like that. And this centerpiece in here that cut out. Yep, always forget something. I'm a bit disorganized. That's cut out. What do we got? 3/4 inch cut out. And this circle here is pretty roughly 2.5 inches. This is a lot dirtier than the last job we did. So on the other side to the boss, we turn this over. Yeah, on this side, we sketch right on that plane there. Put a circle on here, which is 2.5 inches, we said. And extrude that removal 0.75. That's that piece made. So it's pretty straightforward, but that's what that looks like. Just to distinguish it, we're going to change that. We're going to edit the appearance and change it to a different color. So we'll change it to light green, something like that. These two bits go together like that, see? Now this thickness across here should be about 9/16. If we use the measuring tool, but look, there's 575, that'll do, 0.575. And what we found is that this collar is the same size. Oh, it's a bit bigger. It's not going to work. I was wrong. It's the same size as that, though. So new sketch on that plane. If we use that line there, we've already got that one. And another one here, which is 1.8. And then we extrude that. And it's a new piece. It'll give us a different color. And we make it, how wide is it? 0.8. And we have a starting offset of 0.575 is what we said. That's where that collar fits. Collar's got a matching fillet on this side, so we just do that. And it's got a pin through here, which looks to be probably a 1/4 inch roll pin. Yep. So if we put a sketch in here and we use a project tool, select that, click that and turn that into a construction line, and we use that line too. And that line, we can extend this line here to there. We're done there. Is that right? We can extend this line here through to here. And it's not quite right, so we're going to just trim that. Like so. Now we can draw a 1/4 inch circle on here. Directly in line with the center of that line, which is the edge. And extrude it. Make it symmetrical. Make it 2 inches long. Remove it from this piece and this piece. And we've got a hole there for a pin. If we take this away, we have the right cutout there, which is the same as what we've got on here. There, see? When you redid the spindle on your launch, I assume you use carbide to bring it out before re-sleeving. When you redid the spindle on your launch, I assume you use carbide for boring it out before re-sleeving. I didn't re-sleeve it. I'm using standard collets, so it was all Mickey Mouse, really. Haven't re-sleeved it. I did run a reamer through it before I put the pin back in, which is 12.5 millimeters. I have a 12.5 millimeter reamer especially for it. But no, I didn't rebore it. What's the issue? So we can probably assemble this. We insert this part. Oops. Try again. So we make a mate on this face here. That one. That one. Then fasten these. And that needs to be offset. Oops. Oops. There we go. So it's all roughly together how it should go, I think. Except it's the wrong way around. Try that. There we go. That's how that should work. Part one's this one. If we fix that, and that should spin on there like that nicely, how it should. That's how it should work. Now, That's a bit disappointing. 10mm collets are a bit small and useless anyway. Morse 1 is not really the answer. If I was doing it again, and I'm going to address this problem rather than this, I wouldn't bore it Morse 1. Here you go. What I would do is bore the spindle nose out to ER16, I think, and make a special nut for it and put 16mm ER collets on it. I think that's what I would do. As far as that's what I would probably do if I was putting a new collet system in. I don't think that I would use Morse because I don't think it's particularly useful in the spindle. I would probably have a good look at it and draw it out. And if there was enough space, I would machine the spindle nose out, set it up nicely on center. This is a bit of a challenge. Out of the machine and bore it in a bigger lathe or in another precision lathe or something like that. Bore it to ER16 and then make a ER16 nut with a spindle, the same thread as a spindle, which will be 3/4 16 or something stupid. Anyway, that's a thought. That's food for thought. I think that's what I would probably do because that would make a fairly useful machine out of it. And give you a bit more through the drawbar too, which would also be helpful. Anyway, so we've got this sort of half-assed right. Now, with this spinning like this, now some interesting geometry in here, guys. So you know. Firstly, there's a relief in the front and the top here. If we go back to this Part Studio 1, Part Studio 2 it was, here. Right. If we make a section view here on that plane, that's halfway through, right? And we do a drawing on this plane, sketch on there. What we've got is we're going to use this line, I think, and this line. And we'll draw another line, which is probably about I'm only guessing this because it's impossible to measure. If we go back in here like this, and then measure from there to there. And we'll call that it's about 532, like so. And then this distance here, which we can measure, is about 1/2 inch. So from there to there is 0.5, right? Now there's another line. Measure here, another line here somewhere. Bear with me here. That's impossible to measure too, but I reckon it looks to be about 1/16 of an inch. From there to there. Then this line here goes from here, where these two intersect, down to the end of this. And then we can draw another line there like that to make a section there. And we can revolve that. What we need to do though to do that is on this sketch still, we need to put at least a construction line down the center. Something like that. And then we can revolve that. Revolve axis is this one. And it's a removal. So that looks something like that inside there, right? For reasons that will be apparent at some point in the future. Are we following? Because I'm not. AR11, yeah, that's the trouble. But you may not get, if you can get collets, that's great. On the lathe subject, if you can get collets, that's excellent. I look like Mount. Anyway, if you can get collets, that's great. But good luck with that. Collets and drawbar are definitely a better system. And I would have a look at Sherline because I believe they probably do a 10mm collet set if you've got a budget. If you don't have a budget, maybe that's out of the question, but I think they do a pretty nice collet set. Worth a look. And probably just adapt it to fit them because Derbyshire collets or Lorch collets or whatever will probably all fit. They'll be different threads and things. So you might have to make another drawbar, but that's not the end of the world. Anyway, if we turn off this section view, what we've got is that hollow inside there, something like that. Now, there's some interesting geometry in these, I think. And I really don't know how they make them rather than just machine them and file them. I don't know if there's any other way to do this. But what we've got is a slot in the side of this. And the slot's exactly 40mm wide down. 5/8 wide. One inch and 580 thou long, and it's 3/8 of an inch from each end. So on this surface, we need to put another sketch on here. On this plane. Now I'm going to draw a line in here. And I'm going to put a measurement on there between there and there. It's 3/8, 375 thou. And we're going to do the same on here. Measure this one and this one and make it the same, which is also 3/8. We put the fraction in, but when we hover over this, it gives us the fraction and the decimal, so that's useful. Now, that's all very well. But this slot isn't straight. There we go. There's a helpful thing. I reckon it kicks over 3/32 of an inch. How do we do that? If we put a measurement on that line, $680. Is that what we said? 5/8, 5/8, 625. Like so. And measurement between there and there, which isn't quite right. Call that 5/16. That fixes that. If we do the same on this one and call that one 5/8. Make the same measurement here and call this one 5/16, which is half of 5/8, right? What we need to do is move this one 3/64 that way and that one 3/64 that way. So what's 5/16 less 3/64? 5/16 in 6 is 20, 10/32, 20/64. 23. 23/64. There we go. Now, 17. 17/64. Like that. Then we can draw a line across here like this. And this is sort of something like what it looks like. Let's select that first. All right. So if we extrude that as a new piece, which will show that as a different color. All right, and that's right in from the center. That's not how it looks though. actually it is. That's how it is. That's exactly how it should be. Righto. If we look at the front of that, oops, we'll zoom that in without making anyone seasick. And then we click that, and then we do an array, which we can probably find here somewhere. Circular pattern. Entities to pattern. Axis of pattern is that one. And we want 3 over 360 degrees. Then we add them. The merge scope is that one, and we've got those 3 pieces. Now, if we do a Boolean subtraction, the tool is that one. We'll click Keep Tools, and the target is that one. The tools is that one. Click OK. We've got another piece here, but we can hide that. And that gives us pretty much what we need inside. That's what it looks like. Now, this is a fun thing to machine, isn't it? It's pretty much exactly how it looks. Now, there's one pin in each one of these grooves on one side. I'm going to go to the bathroom. It's all right for you lot. I don't have a way to do that and fix this screen so you get anything else. You probably can. Mark does it all the time, and he's a legend. I'm not going to do it. So I'm just going to walk through that door there, and I'll come back. You can talk amongst yourselves. See, that was painless, wasn't it? How cool was that? Righto. Righto. Now, that's sort of got that sorted. There is a groove around here and a groove around here. I don't know why. I can't see as how that's actual thing, but maybe they are. Maybe it is separate parts that are welded up, or I don't know really. But we're going to put a groove in. I think it's probably just cosmetic. put a sketch on that plane, and we're going to use that circle there as the radius. And then we're going to put another sketch on this plane. And we're going to use this as a center line, and we're going to draw a circle there, which is about probably 40 thou, something like that. We're not going to make that one a construction line though. What we're going to do is revolve that around that to give us a new solid. Like so. Not going to add it in, we're going to make that a new one. And we're going to move that. So transform that, and transform by XYZ. We're going to move this one back. Um, 3/8. It's the best way to do that is to do the same thing, I think. Sketch on that plane. We need to use that line. That one needs to be a construction line. And then we need to put a circle in here like this. 0.04 is 40 thou. Revolve that one. It's a new solid. And the revolve axis will be that. And make that a new one. And then this one we need to transform. Negative 0.375 or 3/8 of an inch. That gives us our two pieces. So if we do a subtraction and we use this is your target and these two rings, that ring and that ring as we get rid of them, that puts our grooves in where they should be. So that's easy. Don't know if it does anything or whether it's actually part of it or what, I don't know. Now, looking at this, there's a groove in this side. Now, I don't know whether that's cast in or whether it's actually machined in or what that is. But I'm guessing it's sort of cast in. It's pretty rough, but it seems to just gives clearance. Looking at it, it's in this side here. Put a sketch on there. try and use as much of the geometry as we've got there. So if we use that line, and then we offset that line the other way like that, about what? It's not 1/4 of an inch. Probably 1/8 of an inch. It goes to about there, and it goes to about there, something like that. It's fairly rough, actually, but I think we're going to call that. And a centre point arc around there. No, I think we're going to do this differently. Let's do it this way. I'm adjusting this so it looks about right. We've got a line there. Which is 332 up from that surface. So then we can put a plane on here. Offset from there. Plane offset from that surface. 3/32 of an inch. And we can do a sketch on that plane. It's a lot of messing around for something I thought was going to be fairly simple. We can mark that point on there somewhere, can we? Have we done that? That's not what we want. What we want is to draw a construction line from there. Maybe we need to mark this line. That's not right. What we need is a port. There we go. A circle like that. Except it's not what we want. Because what we have That's where we're going wrong. Is we've got our sketch on the wrong plane. Our sketch should be on plane 1. And then we can do this. That puts the point in the right spot. We can go from there and we can put a 1/8 circle on there and we can extrude it. Theoretically, that doesn't work because our plane, it's interesting, isn't it? Have fun. What time is it? It's 9:20. We probably needed to finish this another time. But this plane here needs to be on an angle to match this. So let's edit that plane. What we're going to do is a line angle plane. That's interesting, isn't it? No idea. There you go, I'm lost. It's getting late. That's how we do it. Wow. New plane. Maybe. Don't know how we do that. There's some fairly interesting little geometry in there. Let's do this anyway. Anyway, what we're looking for is a groove like that. And we can revolve that groove, can't we? I might be actually make my match with this. Don't know. I have to have a think about that. We might come back to it next week. It's getting late. But it's not a particularly simple thing when we have a look at it. That's what we got so far. For some reason, this doesn't line up anymore. It's because we fasten it on to the wrong end. Let's change this, fasten this one. to this one. I'm getting tired. That's in the right spot. However, it's not. Because that collar is attached to the green part, not the actual blue part. Anyway, I'm going to call it. As you can see, this is not a very simple thing. We've still got 4 fairly rough looking rollers with a flat ground on them, which have a flat ground on them for a reason, because you can't get them in. There's 3 of them. They look like they've had a hard life, but they're probably hard. This is the only one that's got the side ground off it. So maybe it has a side ground off it so you can fit it back in. I don't know. But they do go back in and out like that. I think this one's just rough. Hey, Yogi. G'day. Anyway, we were trying to draw this up as per instructions from our other live. It's a complicated thing. It's a tube expander. It's more complicated. I've learned a lot about them that I didn't really know before. It is quite a complicated part. Whether we can actually draw the rest up, I'm not sure. I'm sort of finding some struggles there, but I might be just getting sleepy. Anyway, we've had a bit of a play with that, and we've got sort of something like it's supposed to be. I would say that those 3 slots in there are very, very similar to what they should be, except that there should be a bit of draft on one side so that these don't come out through the front. That's another thing. We're going to have another look at that. We've also done a repair or CAD, a little repair part that I'm going to 3D print. It's under about 5 millimeters square for a little Markland locomotive that's got some issues. Bought secondhand, of course, and if I send it back, there's my other glasses back on. If I send it back to Markland or back to a serviceman, it's going to come back with a new body on it, and that's going to be probably more expensive than it should be, if that part's even available 40 years on. And it probably isn't. So I think we're just going to fix that and have it back together and running. I might have a play with that tomorrow night. Now, I don't know if I'm going to have a live stream tomorrow night. I do have telephone problems until probably Friday when I can go and get another one. This is dead. It's actually, 50-something%. 58% charge in it. If I unplug this and press the button and open an app, it'll just die. Like it'll crash and then restart, and it'll have 10% battery again. So it's got some problems. So I'm going to have to go buy one of them. Hopefully, if I leave it plugged in, because I've got 100% on my laptop, if I leave it plugged in when I go to bed, hopefully my alarm still works and I get up in the morning, because I'm really, without the alarm in the morning, I'm not going to get up. Simple as that. Anyway, that's about it. I could do it from the computer. That's a bit of a pain. I might even do that tomorrow night. We'll see how we go. I've got things to show you. There's things I've done. There is some progress on various jobs. And I'm actually sign painting full force down there in the shed. So anyway, the battery has reached the end of its life. Yes, that's correct. It's not just the battery. The screen's fallen off, and that's probably a contributing factor. So I really need, I think, and probably the microphone's become badly connected. I think at this point, an iPhone 11 probably needs an upgrade. So I'll go and sort of probably think about something a bit more modern in a rebuild, or a refurbished one. Refurbished 13 Pro, which might be what I'd like, is about $500. So I might just do that on Friday if I can find one. iPhone 15 is $1,000. I really don't want to spend that. $1,200 for 16. $1,800 for a 17 Pro. $1,300 for 17. Anyway, I'll go and see what I can find. That's what I'll do. I know everyone says, don't buy an iPhone, don't do this, don't do that. It's all stupid talk, because yeah, I want something that talks to my watch. I want something that talks to my laptop. And that's where we are with that. Anyway, I'm going to go do some dishes and go to bed. Thanks, everyone, for joining in. New Android's exactly the same price. Samsung, top of the range Samsung, sort of $1,800. Sorry. Anyway, it makes no difference which one you get. They're all about the same price. A 14 is getting on a bit. A new iPhone 14 is available still, but refurbished one's fairly cheap. So that's about what I'm going to do if I can get one. I'll go and see what I can get. I'll take some cash into town and see what I can find at the mobile phone repair shop. They're pretty good. Anyway, Peter, that's a sort of, you can't actually know that. You're making things up now, is what's happening. That's an opinion, is what that is. There's nothing else. You're making stuff up. Anyway, I'm going to go pack up, put this locomotive somewhere safe so it doesn't get damaged. It means I'm probably going to take it down the shed. Put my reading glasses away because I probably should use them more often on live stream. Put my book away. And do some dishes. So, anyway, we'll see. Take care, people. Be kind to each other, and especially to Apple users. And more soon. Whether I have, this might be our live stream tomorrow might be on this format, which is a bit of a pain, but we might have to put up with it because I haven't got a phone until probably Friday when I can get into town. Anyway, take care and more soon.